We often believe that grappling with the profound questions of existence is a task reserved for wizened sages in ivory towers or eccentric geniuses scribbling in dusty attics. This is a profound misunderstanding. The most powerful philosophical ideas are not complex riddles designed to confound us, rather. They are simple, elegant tools that can illuminate our everyday lives. They provide clarity and direction amidst the chaos. These are not thoughts for big people, but big thoughts for all people. They can subtly, yet significantly alter the way we perceive our world. They can alter how we interact with others. They can change how we navigate our own internal landscapes. This exploration will delve into a handful of these transformative ideas, each presented not as an abstract puzzle, but as a practical guide to living a more considered and fulfilling life. The true value of philosophy is not found in memorizing the names of ancient Greeks. Its real purpose is to help us live and die well. The ideas that follow are chosen for their immediate relevance and for their capacity to resonate with the common struggles and joys we all face. They invite us to pause, to question the assumptions we carry, and to consider alternative ways of being. By engaging with these concepts, we can begin to untangle the knots of anxiety, confusion, and dissatisfaction that so often characterize modern life. We can learn to see our problems not as unique and insurmountable burdens, but as familiar challenges contemplated by the greatest minds for centuries. In an age of constant distraction, our attention fragmented by an endless stream of notifications and headlines, the act of sustained thinking has become a radical one. These ideas offer a sanctuary for the mind. They encourage us to step back from the relentless pace of our routines and to reflect on what truly matters. Why do we feel the way we do? How do we know what is true? What constitutes a life well lived? By breaking these grand questions down into smaller, more manageable inquiries, we can make tangible progress. Each idea serves as a lens, allowing us to examine our experiences with newfound curiosity and warmth, fostering a sense of agency over our own minds. The journey we are about to embark upon is not one of academic rigor, but of personal discovery. It is an invitation to become a philosopher of your own life, to apply these timeless insights to your personal relationships, your career choices, and your private moments of reflection. The goal is not to arrive at a single, definitive answer, but to cultivate a richer, more nuanced understanding of yourself and your place in the world. As we unpack these concepts, you may find they do not provide easy solutions, but instead offer something far more valuable: better questions. And in asking better questions, we begin to live better lives, one thoughtful moment at a time. One of the most fundamental questions we can ask is startlingly simple. What is real? We tend to operate on the firm belief that the world we perceive through our senses, the solid chair beneath us, the blue sky above the taste of coffee on our tongue, is an objective and unwavering reality. We trust our eyes to show us the truth and our hands to confirm it. However, the reality we experience is not a direct, unfiltered transmission of the external world. It is, instead, a complex and beautiful collaboration between external stimuli and the internal workings of our own minds. Our memories, our emotions, our beliefs act as powerful filters, coloring and shaping everything we perceive. The world out there is only half the story. The other half is constructed in here. This subjective filtering explains why two people can witness the exact same event and walk away with entirely different interpretations and emotional responses. Consider two friends watching a rainstorm from their window. For one, the sight of the downpour brings a sense of comfort, tranquility, peace. For the other, the same scene evokes disappointment, gloom, frustration. The meteorological event is identical: water falling from clouds. But the perceived reality is unique to each individual. Their internal state, their personal history, their present mood. Science provides us with invaluable tools to measure and test the physical properties of our universe, establishing a shared baseline of understanding. Yet, acknowledging the role of our minds is crucial for fostering empathy and reducing conflict. When we disagree with someone, it is often because our internal realities are clashing. Understanding that their perception is as valid and real to them as ours is to us can transform a potential argument into a conversation. It allows us to ask, "How do you see this?" instead of insisting, "This is how it is." The key takeaway from this profound idea is that our perception is a blend of external fact and internal feeling. What you see is inevitably mixed with how you feel and what you believe. It encourages us to question our immediate reactions and consider that what we are experiencing is not the whole truth, but our version of it. This small shift in perspective can dramatically improve our relationships and our ability to navigate a world filled with diverse and often conflicting viewpoints. Do we truly choose our own paths? Do we truly choose our own paths? The notion of free will is central to our sense of self. We cherish the idea that we are the captains of our own ships, making autonomous decisions based on our desires and rational thought. We feel that we choose our careers. We feel that we choose our partners. We feel that we choose what we eat for breakfast. However, when we look closer, our choices are profoundly influenced by a vast web of forces. Genetic predispositions, the environment we were raised in, the cultural norms we have absorbed, our ingrained habits, our biological state at any given moment. We are less like unencumbered pilots and more like sailors navigating powerful, invisible currents. This does not mean our choices are meaningless or that we are simply puppets. Instead, true freedom is the conscious awareness of constraints. The illusion is believing we are completely free. The reality is, our freedom exists within a framework of influences. The power lies in recognizing and understanding these forces. When we can see the current, we can learn to steer within it. Notice the subtle pull of a habit. Notice the deep-seated influence of a childhood lesson. By slowing down and bringing awareness to the moment of decision, we create a small but crucial space between stimulus and response. In that space, we can choose differently. Consider the almost automatic reach for a phone when bored, when sad, when anxious. This is rarely a fully conscious choice. It is a conditioned response, a habit loop. The feeling triggers the action, then a temporary distraction, often doom scrolling, reinforces the cycle. But if the person notices the feeling and the habitual urge, they can pause. In that pause, a new choice becomes possible. Take a few deep breaths. Go for a short walk, call a friend. That small intervention can alter the hour, the day, the life. While we are not fully free, we can expand our freedom through self-awareness and small deliberate actions. Study your habits. Question automatic reactions. Patiently practice new responses. We work with the forces that shape us rather than being driven by them. Each short walk over a reflexive scroll strengthens the muscle of conscious choice and reclaims a piece of our will. From the earliest philosophers to modern-day thinkers, one question has persisted above all others. What makes a life good? Our contemporary culture often offers narrow, material answers. It suggests the good life is wealth, professional success, accumulation of possessions. We are pushed to pursue higher salaries, bigger houses, more impressive job titles, with the promise they will bring lasting happiness. Yet many who achieve these markers feel empty. A life rich in things can feel poor in meaning. So we look beyond the script, what truly nourishes the human spirit. Shift from accumulation to connection and contribution. Philosophers say deep relationships and purpose are the cornerstones of flourishing. The joy from a shared laugh with a friend, the comfort of being understood by a loved one, the satisfaction of helping someone in need, often outweighs the fleeting pleasure of a new purchase. A good life is more about what we give and what we share. Think of a simple, relatable example. You fall ill with a bad cold. A neighbor, noticing you have not been out, brings over a container of homemade soup. The ingredients might have cost very little, and the act only minutes of their time. But the feeling this small gesture evokes is profound. It is a feeling of being seen, of being cared for, of being part of a community. The warmth of the soup is secondary to the warmth of the human connection. This simple, unreciprocated care can feel richer than a financial bonus. A reminder, the most valuable things in life are often not things at all. Ultimately, the good life blends personal joy and meaningful care for others. It is not a destination, but a way of living to be practiced daily. This understanding frees us from pressure to chase external success. It invites richness in simplicity, connection in community, and meaning in small acts of kindness. By cultivating relationships and contributing to others, we can build a genuinely good and deeply satisfying life, regardless of material circumstances. In our hyper-connected world, we are constantly swimming in an ocean of information. Facts, opinions, and claims, social media feeds, 24-hour news cycles, conversations with friends, and targeted advertisements. We naturally trust much of what we learn, absorbing it into our mental model of the world. But a crucial philosophical question we must regularly ask ourselves is, how do we truly know the things we think we know? Not all information is created equal. Some facts are meticulously researched and verified, while others are hasty generalizations, biased opinions, or even deliberate misinformation disguised as truth. Building our beliefs on a shaky foundation of unchecked information can lead to poor decisions, unnecessary anxiety, and a distorted view of reality. Developing a habit of intellectual hygiene is therefore essential for navigating the modern world. This does not require a degree in epistemology. It simply requires cultivating a healthy and, gentle skepticism. Before fully accepting a new piece of information, especially if it is surprising or emotionally charged, it is wise to pause and ask a few simple questions. Where did this claim originate? Is the source reputable and accountable for its accuracy? Was this information presented in a balanced way? Or was it designed to provoke a specific emotional reaction? Is this a fleeting headline from a sensationalist blog? Or is it the finding of a careful, peer-reviewed study? Learning to trace ideas back to their origins is a fundamental skill for clear thinking. Let us consider a common scenario. A post appears on your social media feed claiming that a common kitchen spice is a miracle cure for a serious illness. The post is shared by a friend and has thousands of likes. The initial impulse might be to believe it, or at least to wonder if it is true. The claim is appealing because it offers a simple solution to a complex problem. However, the intellectually hygienic response would be to investigate further. A quick search on a reputable medical website or a database of scientific studies would likely reveal no credible research to support the claim. In this case, choosing to trust the consensus of medical experts over an anonymous social media post is not an act of distrust, but of responsible belief formation. The simple but vital takeaway is this: always check where ideas come from before you place your trust in them. This practice is not about becoming a cynic who believes nothing. By taking a moment to verify sources, question motives, and seek out corroborating evidence, we can build a more accurate and reliable understanding of the world. This protects us from manipulation and empowers us to make decisions based on a solid foundation of knowledge rather than on the shifting sands of hearsay and misinformation. In doing so, we take ownership of our own minds. Who am I? This is a question that we answer for ourselves and others every day, often without even thinking about it. We define ourselves through a collection of labels: parent, employee, friend, student, athlete. These labels are useful shortcuts. They help us understand our roles in society and communicate our place in the world to others. They provide a sense of structure and belonging. However, there is a danger in clinging to these labels too tightly. When we equate our entire identity with a specific role, a single job title, or a past achievement, we can become rigid and fragile. We risk limiting our potential for growth and becoming devastated when one of these labels is inevitably altered or lost. The truth is that our identity is not a fixed, monolithic statue carved in stone. It is more like a flowing river, constantly being shaped by new experiences, relationships, and insights. You are not just one thing. You are a complex and dynamic mosaic of many different parts, some of which may even seem contradictory. You can be a disciplined worker and a playful parent, You can be a thoughtful introvert and a passionate public speaker. A failure in one area of your life, such as losing a job, does not negate your entire being. It is a change in one facet of your identity, not the destruction of your core self. Recognizing this fluidity is profoundly liberating. Imagine someone who has always told themselves, "I am just not a musical person." This statement, repeated over years, becomes a solid part of their identity. It closes them off from an entire realm of human experience. But one day, perhaps out of boredom or curiosity, they decide to try a short online piano course for beginners. To their surprise, they find joy in learning a simple melody. They may not become a concert pianist, but in that small act of experimentation, their fixed identity begins to soften. They discover a new, small part of themselves they never knew existed. The label "not musical" is proven to be not a permanent truth, but a temporary story they were telling themselves. The crucial takeaway is that you are not a fixed entity. You are a work in progress, and you can always cultivate new parts of yourself. Your identity is not something you find, but something you build and rebuild over time. This perspective allows you to approach life with more playfulness and less fear. Try on a new role, learn a new skill, or explore a new interest, no matter how small. See how it feels. You might be surprised by the person you find. By embracing the idea of a fluid self, you give yourself permission to grow, to change, and to evolve throughout your entire life. Navigating the landscape of right and wrong can often feel like trekking through a dense fog. The path is not always clear. Complex situations rarely present a simple choice between obvious good and obvious evil. We are constantly faced with moral dilemmas. How to respond to a piece of office gossip? How to vote on matters of public policy? In these moments, abstract ethical theories can feel distant and unhelpful. We need a practical compass for better, more considerate daily choices. A simple guide echoed across cultures. Strive to treat others as you would wish to be treated. The golden rule invites radical empathy. Step outside your perspective and imagine being on the receiving end. How would this comment make me feel? How would this decision affect my life? This imaginative check counters selfishness and thoughtlessness. Supplement it by asking the clarifying questions. Who stands to gain from this action? Who might be harmed or disadvantaged? Find a balance between fairness, treating people equitably, and kindness, recognizing unique circumstances. Consider a mundane but meaningful scenario. You are at the grocery store after a long day. The cashier seems rushed and tired. Your initial reaction might be annoyance. Pause and apply your moral compass. Imagine being in their position, standing for hours, dealing with hundreds of people, perhaps facing pressures in their own life. Make eye contact. Offer a genuine smile. Hand over payment and say, "Thank you. I hope you have a good evening." That tiny gesture can create positive human connection and ripple outward. The takeaway: kindness and fairness are reliable guides. These principles usually point toward a more humane direction. You may not have perfect answers. Some situations stay complex. But by orienting actions to minimize harm and promote well-being, you cultivate integrity and compassion. Morality is not a perfect score. It is the consistent effort to be a little kinder and a little fairer today than you were yesterday. There is a pervasive myth in our culture that a meaningful life is built upon grand, dramatic, and often rare events. We imagine that meaning is found in publishing a best-selling novel, making a groundbreaking scientific discovery, or achieving a heroic feat that earns public acclaim. While these monumental achievements can certainly be meaningful, pinning all our hopes for purpose on them can lead to a sense of inadequacy and disappointment. It makes meaning seem like a distant prize to be won rather than a quality to be lived. The profound truth, however, is that a life rich with meaning is most often constructed not from a few spectacular moments, but from the steady accumulation of small, intentional, and cherished routines. Meaning is not something that descends upon us from on high. It is something we actively weave into the fabric of our daily existence. It can be found in the quiet ritual of a morning cup of tea, savored without distraction before the day's chaos begins. It can be found in the discipline of a weekly phone call with an aging parent or a faraway friend. It can be found in the simple pleasure of a short walk taken at the same time each day. These small, repeatable patterns act as anchors in the storm of life, providing a sense of stability, peace, and continuity. They are the humble architecture of a purposeful existence. Think about the simple practice of writing one sentence in a journal each night before bed. On any given day, this act seems almost insignificant. It takes less than a minute. It is not a dramatic or impressive feat. However, when this small habit is maintained over weeks, months, and years, its cumulative effect can be transformative. The journal becomes a record of a life lived, a tapestry of joys, sorrows, and observations. The act itself becomes a ritual of reflection, a moment to check in with oneself and process the day. This tiny, consistent effort grows into a powerful tool for self-understanding, clarity, and a deep sense of personal history, infusing daily life with a layer of significance it would not otherwise have. The ultimate takeaway from this is that small, consistent habits are what make a life feel meaningful. The search for a single, grand purpose can be paralyzing, but the commitment to small, life-affirming rituals is accessible to everyone, right now. Look for the small patterns that already bring you a sense of calm, connection, or joy, and practice them with more intention. Introduce one new, simple ritual into your routine. By focusing on the quality of our present moments and building a life out of these well-laid bricks, we discover that meaning was not waiting for us in some distant future. It was here all along, waiting to be cultivated in the small, sacred spaces of our ordinary days. The great philosophical questions of our existence, concerning reality, concerning freedom, concerning meaning, concerning morality, need not be intimidating. As we have seen, they are not abstract puzzles reserved for scholars, but practical tools available to us all. When stripped of jargon and complexity, they become clear, simple ideas. They can serve as a compass for navigating the beautiful and messy reality of human life. They do not offer quick fixes or definitive answers, a way to think with greater clarity, to act with more intentional care, to live with a deeper sense of calm and purpose. These ideas are invitations to engage more profoundly with our own experience, to become more curious about ourselves, more compassionate toward others. The true power of these concepts is unlocked not through passive reading, but through active application. They are like tools in a workshop, only useful when picked up and put to work. The challenge and the opportunity is to choose one idea that resonates with you today. Perhaps it is the call to check your sources before believing. Find meaning in a small daily ritual. See your identity as fluid and capable of growth. Select one small habit that embodies the takeaway from that idea. Commit to practicing it for just 1 week. Observe what changes, not just in your actions, but in your feelings and your perspective. This process of small, incremental change is how a thoughtful life is built. It is not about a sudden, dramatic transformation, but about the patient, day-by-day effort to live a little more consciously. Each time you pause to question an assumption, each time you choose a kinder response, each time you savor a simple moment, you are actively participating in the ancient and noble project of self-examination. You are taking responsibility for the quality of your own mind and your own life. These small acts, compounded over time, are what lead to profound and lasting wisdom. They help us move from being passively shaped by the world to becoming active architects of our own experience. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the journey to a more examined life begins with a single thought. Do not be daunted by the scale of the questions. Be empowered by the simplicity of the first step. Choose one idea and pay attention to what happens. The goal is not to become a perfect philosopher, but to become a more thoughtful and engaged human being. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, this is perhaps the most practical and hopeful endeavor we can undertake. Live a little more clearly.